everybody, welcome back to Creepy Ciphers. Today we're diving into the dark world of 5 notorious serial killers and how they were finally caught. From clever detective work to surprising and shocking mistakes, these stories are both chilling and fascinating, so without wasting any time, let's dive in. Juan Corona was a Mexican-American serial killer responsible for the murders of 25 migrant farm workers in California in 1971. His crimes were discovered when a rancher found a freshly dug grave on his property, which contained the body of a man. This discovery prompted authorities to conduct a thorough search of the area, leading to the unearthing of 24 more graves, each containing the body of a victim. The investigation quickly focused on Juan Corona, who was a labor contractor responsible for hiring the workers. Evidence against him included receipts found in the graves that were linked to Corona, as well as a ledger in his home that contained the names of the victims. Additionally, bloodstains and other incriminating items were also discovered in his trunk and home. Corona was arrested and was convicted of the murders, receiving a life sentence without the possibility of parole. His conviction was one of the largest mass murder cases in the U.S. history at the time. Fritz Haarmann, also known as the Butcher of Hanover, was a German serial killer active in the early 20th century. He was responsible for the murders of at least 24 young men and boys between 1918 and 1924. Haarmann was caught after a series of suspicious disappearances in Hanover. In May 1924, the police were tipped off by a witness who had seen Haarmann with one of the missing boys. A subsequent search of his apartment revealed a large amount of blood-stained clothing, which Haarmann claimed to have acquired from various sources. He was tried and convicted in December 1924 and was sentenced to death. Haarmann was executed by guillotine in April 1925. His case remains one of the most notorious in German criminal history. As most of you know, Ted Bundy was an American serial killer who committed numerous murders during the 1970s. He is known for his charm and intelligence, which he used to lure his victims. Bundy was first arrested in 1975 when police found burglary tools in his car, leading to suspicions about his involvement in other crimes. He escaped the custody twice, but was eventually recaptured. His final arrest came in 1978 after a routine traffic stop in Florida. Evidence and witness testimonies linked him to multiple murders, and he was convicted and sentenced to death. Bundy was executed in the electric chair in 1989. Albert DeSalvo, also known as the Boston Strangler, was a criminal who confessed to being the perpetrator of a series of murders in the Boston area during the early 1960s. His victims were mostly women, and the crimes involved SA and strangulation. DeSalvo was initially caught for unrelated crimes, such as breaking and entering and SA. While in custody, he confessed to being the Boston Strangler. However, his confession was met with skepticism due to a lack of physical evidence directly linking him to the murders. It wasn't until years later in 2013 that DNA evidence definitely connected DeSalvo to the murder of Mary Sullivan, one of the Strangler's victims, confirming his involvement. Now, DeSalvo was never tried for the Boston Strangler murders. Instead, he was convicted of other crimes and sentenced to life in prison. He was killed by a fellow inmate in 1973. Dennis Rader, also known as the BT Killer, which stands for Bind, Torture, Kill, is an American serial killer who murdered 10 people in Sedgwick County, Kansas, between 1974 and 1991. Rader evaded capture for decades, but he was eventually caught in 2005. His downfall came when he began communicating with the police and the media after a long period of silence. He sent letters, poems, and other communications to taunt the authorities, and in one of these communications, he asked if it was possible to trace information from a floppy disk. The police replied, misleading him into thinking it was safe to use. Rader sent a floppy disk to the police, who were able to extract metadata from a deleted Microsoft Word document on the disk. The metadata contained information linking the disk to the Christ Lutheran Church, and a document was traced to Dennis Rader, who was the president of the church council. This, combined with the other evidence, led to his arrest. Rader then confessed to the murders and was sentenced to 10 consecutive life terms in prison without the possibility of parole. Thank you guys for your time and attention. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments down below. With that, have a great day.